Welcome back to the channel, Dynamic Gang. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you are already subscribed, welcome back. We are going into one of my favorite of all times, like cartoon. Like this, hands down, is like one of my favorites. This is Darkwing Duck, and I told you it was coming. It's been on my checklist for a while. So I also draw his arch nemesis. Uh, what's that? Negaduck. I want to say Megaduck, but it's spelled with an N, so I'm gonna say Negaduck. I haven't, I haven't seen Darkwing Duck in a while. So what this one right here, I drew the eyes a little different. This was, I guess, this is like his insane mode, and it's more crazy, So I wanted something because that's his arch enemy. I wanted something that would go crazy. And then I remember with him, he also had a mode where his eyes turned red, and he was already like out of his mind. Without further ado, we're gonna start inking it in. All right, let's get it. Darkwing Duck, man, that was a great cartoon. What do I say about Darkwing Duck? If I can remember correctly, there was a lot of crossovers. They had Launchpad, they had Gizmo Duck, and a lot of that was from what was it? Tailspin, Ducktales. I even think that he has a daughter, but I don't know if she crossed over. I know Scrooge McDuck did like a crossover, but I mean like Disney. See, Marvel Universe, right? You're talking about the Marvel Universe when they had the multiverse and how everything got crossed over. You know, that's pretty interesting because Darkwing Duck was one of the very first cartoons that actually incorporated a lot of the crossovers, and you could see in their same universe they had from DuckTales and Tailspin and um, there was another cartoon I can't remember. And was it Rescue Rangers? I don't know if it was Rescue Rangers. Chippendale's Rescue Rangers. It was one of those other Walt Disney cartoons that was incorporated into Darkwing Duck. Anyway, um, the show is based upon Batman and Shadow. The Shadow. The Shadow was, I think it was from the 1930s or 20s, and it was one of the very first comic books character that was on radio. They didn't even have TV. But if you know what the Shadow is, the Shadow was supposed to be like this. I don't want to say mentalist, but he could like hypnotize you. He can, he pretty much did a lot of things with the mind. I can't remember exactly. Like, don't quote me on that. I think he could turn invisible. I think he can make other things invisible. He had like sorcery or magic, or I think he just had mind manipulation. I don't know. It was one of those. But from just looking at his hat and his cape, I want to say he got a lot of the references from the Shadow. But when he has the gun and him running around the rooftops, that's definitely a shout out to the Batman. So, with that being said, it was one of the best shows when I was growing up, and it made me, appreciate these artists that draw these characters. And you're like, hey, wait a minute, that hat and those capes kind of look like, oh wow, and then you go back and you look at all these old comic book characters, and you're like, oh, that's where they got this reference from. So the only reason that I even knew about the Shadow was my uncle. My uncle was really, my uncle knew a lot of that other stuff. My grandfather, of course, with the Shadow and the Green Hornet, and Dick Tracy, of course. Just a lot of great stuff. And this is what I want to talk about. Because for me, art was an escape. Outside my doors where I used to live. You go right down the street, you got nothing but hustlers, you got pimps, you got drug runners, you got all those people down there. And art was a way for me to stay out of trouble. It really was, man. Like, and, growing up, where you're under a lot of influence of the streets and the, especially the environment you live in, art was an escape. So maybe that's the reason why I turned into a cartoonist instead of like one of those real life people that like to draw portraits of people, like I got tired of like going outside and seeing the same thing over and over again. So I needed some kind of escape. I needed some kind of outlet. So I would turn on the cartoon, or I would read a comic, and I would draw, and that would take me to another place. So I guess that what I'm trying to say is, art kind of saved my life. Art has always been an extension of my passion, and I want to thank God from above for giving me the talent, and I want to thank God for giving me a talent so I can share it with you guys. And the same thing, God gave everybody the talent to draw. It's just that, like I told you before, I held on to it while you guys, or ladies and gentlemen, whatever you guys are doing, maybe you went to law school, maybe you went to do this, maybe you went to do that. Um, Basically, you gave up your drawing, to do what you all want to do. But when you first started off, like in kindergarten, when you're 2 years old, 3 years old, what did you do? You colored, you drew, you scribbled, and that's where it all starts from. So that's why I tell everybody all the time: you can be an artist. You can know how to draw. It's inside you. You just gotta, get your talent, and you gotta keep on. You're like a diamond in the rough. You got to keep on struggling and striving to be better every single day. But you could do it, and I want you to do it. If that's what you want to do. But other than that, I'm gonna stop talking. Enjoy the video. If you have any other recommendations, please let me know. Other than that, let's get into it. All right, so I'm finished with Darkwing Duck and Negaduck, whatever it is. So, if you're a fan of Darkwing Duck or Negaduck, let me know down in the comments if you grew up watching this. So you already know on our channel we're doing nothing but throwbacks. We do a lot of throwbacks, not that we're not going to do other stuff, but this was something I've been wanting to draw for a while, and I mentioned that to you before. So Darkwing Duck and Negaduck. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what the next cartoon that you grew up with that you want me to draw, and we'll get into it. Thank you.